I think she must have failed. I don't know. They were sitting right there. Jude National was sitting right there, aren't they? I don't know. She just had a piece of grass. That's just a piece of grass. Did she? She was waiting on her knee. Yeah, I know, but she's. Jude National was set. Did you all see her?
Is there a nail sticking out of the floor?
I don't know. Right there. She was right behind you. Yeah, see if there's a nail back there.
It might be a nail sticking out. We got some sticking out of our house. Everywhere.
Let's do 329. 329.
This is
standing on the promises of Christ my King, through eternal ages let His praises ring. Glory in the highest I will shout and sing, standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of God, my Savior, I'm standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises that cannot fail. When the valley storms of doubt appear unsettled, by the living word of God I shall prevail. Standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of God, my Savior, I'm standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises I now can see. Perfect present cleansing in the blood for me. Standing in the liberty where Christ makes free. Standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of God, my Savior, I'm standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises I cannot fall. Listening every moment to the Spirit's call. Resting in my Savior as my all in all. Standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of God, my Savior, I'm standing on the promises of God.
You see Lacey back there going like that?
yeah, so she was another picture.
Practicing. Pretending she's doing that.
Let's try 151. I don't know it really well, but we'll try. She okay? Praise Him, praise Him. Yeah, we have. Praise Him, Jesus, our blessed Redeemer. Jesus, our blessed Praise Him, Jesus, our blessed Redeemer. Sing all of His wonderful love proclaim. Hail Him, hail our blessed Redeemer. For our sins He suffered and bled and died. He our rock, our hope of eternal salvation. Hail Him, Jesus the crucified. Sound His praises, Jesus who bore our sorrows. Love abounded, wonderful, deep and strong. Praise Him, tell of His excellent greatness. Praise Him, ever in joyful song. Praise Him, Jesus our blessed Redeemer. Heavenly portals loud with hosannas ring. Jesus Savior reigneth forever and ever. Crown Him, prophet, priest, and king. Christ is coming over the world victorious. Power and glory unto the Lord belong. Praise Him, tell of His excellent greatness. Praise Him, ever in joyful song. Huh? I know, it's old. You did it really well, though. Anybody have one they want to try? What? 373. That praise Him, that's old. I heard that when I was a little girl. That's been many years ago. Oh, 373 at the bottom. Pass me not. thee. Savior, Savior, hear my humble cry. While on others thou art calling, do not pass me by. Let's try 34. I remember this one when I was little too. This has bass lead, by the way. I know we don't have. Well, I'm just saying. Kevin can jump in there. Howie's back there. Let's hear you, Howie. Just do it, tenor. I remember the time when in darkness I wandered on the mountain of sin. I traveled so long, like a prodigal son, all my deserts wandered. But the Savior came in, and He gave me a song. I can tell you the time, I can show you the place where the Lord saved me. My wonderful grace. For I know not the how, and I know not the why, but He'll tell me all about it in the by and by. Just a sinner was I, far away from my Savior, with no hope of reward at the end of the way. But the Savior came down, and He gave me His favor, so He's singing His praise, for He saved me that day. I can tell you the time, I can show you the place where the Lord saved me by His wonderful grace. For I know not the how, and I know not the why, but He'll tell me all about it in the by and by. I can never forget when He spoke to me gently in the fountain of life. There's a far clear song. So I hated His voice. He was speaking intently through His marvelous grace. I am happy and whole. I can tell you the time, I can show you the place where the Lord saved me by His wonderful grace. For I know not the how, and I know not the why, but He tell me all about it in the by and by. Let's do one more. Let's do 71. We're just going to sing the first 2 verses. You know, the Bible says we ask not. We have not because we ask not. You know, the Lord will honor our prayers, and we're getting ready to pray. So. See? Oh, let's see. He's saying, let's see. Sweet air of prayer, sweet air of prayer, I call thee from a world of fear, and bids me at my Father's throne, makes all my wounds and with sweet air, turn my wings, shall my petition bear. To him whose truth and righteousness engage the waiting souls to bless. And since he bids me see his face, believe his word and trust his grace, I'll cast on him my every care and wait for him, sweet air of prayer.
It is a sweet time when you can not only talk to him, but then listen a little bit and let him talk to you too. And that's when people think you're crazy. We're not crazy. We're the most sane people in the world because we're the ones here, and we're the ones that know where we're going. And you know, oh, I had that upside down. That's been hard to read. No, it's good to see everybody out tonight. It's been a hectic couple of weeks, it seems like, but I would say we're starting to wrap things up at Eastman. That ain't happening. We're still trying. I don't know if I'm going to get it wrapped up, but we'll get what we can. But we do appreciate everybody's prayers. Lord willing, Barbie will be in on Friday night, weather permitting, I suppose. I may end up having to drive to Charlotte to pick her up. I don't know. We'll see how it works out because weather's supposed to be a little windy and rainy on Friday. So we'll see. Y'all pray she has a safe trip. Anybody have a prayer request tonight? Do remember the family of the Isley boy. I know. I don't know if you saw that in the paper. The 22-year-old that was killed on the motorcycle. If you remember the gentleman that sang, I guess he sings lead. I'm not sure. He might sing tenor. I'm not really sure which part he sings. But it was the group, the all-male group that was here during the revival that sung a cappella. It was his grandson that was killed. So do remember that family. And not only that, all the people down in Houston heard about a family of 6 that it was a great-grandfather, a great-grandmother, and then 4 children ages 6 to 16 drowned. So remember that family. I know there has to be some devastated people down there, not only their family, but friends and school classmates and things like that never dreamed that this would happen to them. So do remember that. Anybody else have a prayer request?
And that little girl that had the TV assault, they fixed one, she has to go back in a month, take the skin salve or something like that, and see if she has no social health. Her mom said, keep the files coming, and herself too.
Okay.
Remember Emmy, she's not feeling well, she's got toothache or something. Just remember her.
Maybe Ginger, she's at home, maybe she's not feeling well, she's got something going on, she took some medicine and failed. The rat, remember the people that was in the rat?
Yeah.
Pretty bad.
Yeah. Unspoken request. All the can will, let's together on the altar. Our most kind of gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you again for this day, Lord, for giving us the most of all, Lord, for your Son, Lord, who died upon that cross of Calvary, Lord. We seem to thank you for him last, Lord. We know just so much. It's all about him. Lord, we know never go true with us. We know that you give us so much, but Lord, without him, Lord, this will be all we had to hope for. We thank you, God, that you gave us a way, and Lord, you gave us a hope, Lord, that we have beyond this old world, Lord, where we cry and we have heartache and we have separations, Lord. We know, God, that there's coming a day, Lord, we're going to be home. We're going to be with you, Lord. We're all going to be together. And we thank you, God, that you've given us that promise and that hope, Lord, of a place that we can go to. And Lord, we ask you, God, to remember the requests that were made here now, God, those that are loose, lost loved ones. We know, God, that there are so many that are hurting today, Lord. We pray that you just touch them, Lord. We pray, God, that the ones that are left behind, that you just comfort their hearts, Lord. We pray, God, for the baptizers. We pray, God, that you just bless, Lord, mighty bless. You know, God, that it doesn't save us, Lord. We know, God, that there is, we need to show the world, Lord, who it is that we are, what it is that you've done for us. So we thank you, God, for that. Lord, we ask you, God, to bless in the service tonight as we open up the Word and we see the things that are coming. Lord, the things that are already here, we pray, God, that you just help us, Lord, be watchful and to look for that coming, Lord, when you come down to get us all and take us home to be with you. Lord, we look forward to that day. Watch over us and keep us until that day comes. All these things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, a couple of quick announcements. I guess maybe they'll be quick. I don't know. Because I tend to talk too much. Well, we're going to be in Matthew 24 if you want to go ahead and start turning there. Starting in verse number 11. But as far as I know, Sunday after church, I'm assuming immediately after church, if that's okay with you all, right? Are you guys good with that? Immediately after church? Yeah, okay. We'll be leaving here and going to a baptizing. So, how many you say we got? 2? Okay. So, got 2. And if anybody else has anybody that likes to be baptized, just have them come on and that needs to be baptized and wants to be baptized. It's something I believe we're commanded to do. I believe it is in the scriptures, and it's not anything that saves us. You better be safe before you go under, otherwise you're just going to be wet. And but it's supposed to be a beautiful day, high about 80, sunshine, and as long as we don't get too much rain this weekend, we'll be all right. It's I think that creek will be down by the time we get there, but Lord willing, we'll have directions and everything. We'll pass them out for those of you who don't remember how to get there. So it's not too bad. Anybody still have a copy of the directions we had the last time? Okay. No, not now. We'll get it. We can just make copies Sunday. Just make sure you got it with you on Sunday, and we'll do that then. Okay. All right. Well, that got most people there the last time, so I figured we'd try it again. But we're looking forward to that. We really are. I tell you what, that's a blessing. That's one of the best things that we're able to do as preachers is to baptize. I had the chance to baptize my 2 boys. Looking forward to the day I get to baptize my little girl. I remember the day I got baptized still. I just remember it like it was yesterday. I remember the people that got baptized with me. You know, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful ceremony. Even though it doesn't necessarily take a long time. You know, it doesn't have to take a long time. I went to a wedding just a few weeks ago, and bless their hearts, it took an hour. Every wedding I've ever done has taken 15 minutes or less, and that's only if they added a song. You know, sometimes it's about 5 or 10. You know, it doesn't have to take long. What matters is where your heart is, and that's. But we do look forward to that, and like I said, that'll be right after church. And now next Wednesday night will be the church elections. Is that correct?
Yeah.
First Wednesday in September. So we'll conduct the church elections at that time. So I don't know if what
No, I was.
you were looking.
Have a PowerPoint that has the times on it.
Okay. So we'll make sure everything's ready for that nominating committee will. Anything else? Am I missing anything? We'll have a fellowship on Sunday night. And Lord willing, on September the 10th, I think Brother Daniel Sutherland's going to be preaching. So, on that Sunday morning. So, I had scheduled him back in, I guess when he was here in July, I called him that week before and got him scheduled again. So, alright. So, we're going to start where we left off, you know, and we're looking at all the things that Jesus said was going to come at the time of the end, you know, and that's and we're starting to see a lot of things we recognize. I don't think anything we've covered so far are things that that we haven't seen today. And when it starts right again on verse number 11, it says, "And many false prophets shall rise." Now, keep in mind, this is all written in red. This is straight from the mouth of Christ, okay? It says, "Many false prophets shall rise and deceive many." You know, we're not seeing that, are we? We talked a little bit about that last week, but with the David Koresh's, the Jim Jones, all these false prophets, and we even see a lot that are still standing in the pulpit today, and they're teaching messages that sound pretty good, but they're not biblically based. I mean, they don't. They want to talk about how good your life is going to be here, and that's not always what it's all about. You know, it's all about what God has done for you, not how easy your life has been here. So as a matter of fact, sometimes it seems like the harder it is here, the more blessings you get, and that's what I believe that He wants us to understand. Is it doesn't necessarily. You know, people are trying to use this hurricane and say, you know, well, God's judging this place or God's judging that place. You know, the Bible says it rains on the just and the unjust. I believe Kevin preached that last week, was it? At least one of the services I heard him say that. But, you know, the reasons for trials. That's right. But, yeah, it was, you know, it does. It doesn't matter. The trials are going to come no matter where we are in our life. And how close we are to God, the trials are still going to come. But with God, it's a lot easier to deal with those trials. You know, it's not, and you know, here's the analogy I've always used. I don't understand how people live without God. I don't. It's just not, me personally, I couldn't make it without Him. If I didn't have Him to draw on, I don't know how people do it. But here's the analogy I always use. Back in the 1800s, you know, people lived without electricity all the time. Even still today, there are people that live without electricity. Anybody in here could live without electricity? I don't think so. Randall says, I could live without electricity. All I do is turn the TV on. But I'm serious. We look at everything we have at home, and even our lights. We have when the electricity goes out, we go just completely bonkers. Okay? But there are people that live without electricity. Do they go completely bonkers? No. They have learned to deal with not having it. That they don't know what it's like to have it, so they don't know the convenience that electricity provides and the benefits. The world today, we don't understand how they survive without God. But you know what? They've never known God. They don't know any other way. Yeah, they're making it through this life. Yeah, they're living. But how much easier it would be if they just had God in their life. So that's the way I've always looked at that. But that's not what the false prophets will teach you. False prophets will teach you. You just need to. You just need to worry about what's here. And it says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Boy, if that's not a statement right there. Look at today. And I've said this, and Debbie said it the other day. It still happened back then. People in biblical times were still sinners, just the same as they were today. And people still did the same things we see today. But you know the difference is they hid it. Now there's so much that's just out in the open today. And they say, there's nothing wrong with it. See, the problem, and I don't think anybody would say there's nothing wrong with it. They'd do it anyway. But, I mean, there are people out there that'll steal, but they won't tell you that there's nothing wrong with it. See, the problem is the iniquity has gotten so prevalent in the world today, and it's not, it's because people have let their love of God wax cold. The love of many shall wax cold. Because the sins come into the world, they would rather have the sin in their life than to have the love of God in their life. And if that's not the day and time we live in, I don't know what is. There are people that say, once you're saved, always saved. But I want you to look at this next verse. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. It's the ones that endure. The ones that make it all the way. The ones that never let down. You know, Paul, what did he do when he was standing there, when he was sitting there in prison not knowing if he was going to be executed or not? What did he say? I've fought a good fight. I've kept the faith. You know, I believe we all ought to fight the good fight and keep the faith and make sure that no matter what comes on us, that we endure unto the end. There are those that when the times get hard, they quit. And and that's what Mike and I were talking about one day at lunch. Well, Randall and Lisa know who Mike is because we eat dinner all the time now together. But, you know, he was talking one day at lunch. He was telling me about I think it was his brother. I think is what he said. Or his brother-in-law, one or the other. But he said he quit his job figuring he'd just find something. You know, he got mad at his job and just walked right out and figured, I'll find him. I'll find something. 6 months later, he still hadn't found anything. A year later, I don't think he had found anything. It had been a while. And he was out of work for a while because he just figured he'd find something. But he got mad and he quit because it got hard. And, you know, I guess that's kind of bad for me to say. I'm leaving Eastman right now. But it's not because it got hard. But you know, you can't just walk away from things because they're hard. God asks us to do hard things sometimes. He really does. You look at Abraham, he asked him to leave his father's house. He asked him to sacrifice his son Isaac. A lot of people will sit there and say, well, God won't ask you to do anything that you're not able to do, but he will ask you to do things that you need his help to do. He will. So, we have to endure. How do we endure? Hold on to the one that will get us all the way there. And never let the world get to us. I mean, it's going to aggravate you. It's going to get to you. It's going to scare you. There's some bad people in the world. Don't get me wrong. And they may take this life from you, but you need to hold on to God so that this life isn't the end of it for us. And that this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. When's the end going to come? When the gospel reaches everyone. It's that simple. The gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. There must be somebody that ain't heard it yet. When everybody's had their chance, when everybody's heard it, that's when the end's going to come. You know, there's still remote jungles in Africa and South America that people haven't reached. I saw a headline, and I didn't read the story, but about a man who thought his life was worth nothing because he had never seen anybody come to God, and he had died. He ended up dying in one of the jungles in South America, I think is what it said. But then what had happened? People had gotten saved, and churches had been started because he was willing to take the gospel there. See, we don't know who we've touched, and we don't know what's going to happen, but we need to get the gospel to everybody. And if they reject it, keep preaching. It didn't say until all are saved. I want you to notice that. It said till all have heard the gospel. Anybody have anything so far? It says, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Now that whoso readeth, let him understand is in black. So this is kind of John's or Matthew saying, please make sure you understand this. You're going to see the Antichrist. You're going to see that abomination of desolation. And what that is the Antichrist stands in the place of God in the temple that is going to be rebuilt one day. And he's going to say, I am the Son of God. He's going to claim to be the Christ. And he's going to do it in the Holy of Holies inside the temple. It says, then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. I believe there's going to be a war like has never come before. And has and the Israelites are going to have to flee. They're going to come and they're going to try to they're going to try to kill all the Christians, all the Jewish people, especially the Jewish Christians. At this time, I believe there's going to be souls converted. Now, just to be clear, there's a couple of different schools of thought on this. There's a lot of people that think that we're still going to be here, that this is the time before the rapture and everything. There's other people, and we're among them, that think we'll be taken out of there before this, and this is going to happen during the Great Tribulation. So it's just it's hard to understand, and it's hard to decipher. We'll recognize it when it gets here, and that's the whole purpose of this. But it says, let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. We're getting ready to move. And if I could leave 90% of our stuff, I probably would, to be quite honest with you, because it's going to be an expensive move, and it's going to be it's just, there's a lot of stuff. It's amazing how much stuff you collect. Kevin just moved. He knows what it is. Y'all just moved. Y'all know what it is. And it's amazing how much stuff over the years that you collect that you really don't need. But what he's saying is that this is going to happen suddenly. There were people out in Houston, Galveston, and Lake Charles, and all these places that are getting inundated with this rain. The water rose so fast they couldn't even have time to pack they barely had time to pack a bag, and they had to leave everything. That's the way this is going to happen. The ones on the rooftop, don't come through your house and pack anything. You better just get out and go. And this is talking about the abomination of desolation, the Antichrist coming after the people. It says, neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. Just go with whatever you got on your back. It says, and woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. It's bad and it's hard to take care of kids in the best of times. But imagine this time, it's going to be very difficult to really take care of the kids. Those people that are fleeing. And did you see the people in this? I mean, this I guess works out perfectly with the disaster. But I mean, people carrying their babies and trying to keep their babies' heads above water as they're walking through chest deep water themselves. I mean, it's amazing to look at. And you're sitting there thinking, yeah, it'd be easier without children, wouldn't it? Well, that's what he's saying. Woe to those who are with child, or those that give suck, those that have the young children. Now, supposedly. And if this time happens prior or after the rapture, remember all the children are going to be gone. But I guess this is the children that are born during that time. I don't know. I'm guessing. But pray that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation. And see, that's why people think this is happening during the tribulation. Such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. This will make what we consider trouble look like a walk in the park. Look like a day at the beach. What are some other similes we can throw out? You know, we can throw out a bunch of different things, but life today is easy for everyone on this earth compared to what this is going to be. This is going to be a time of tribulation. It's going to be because the devil is turned loose on this world. And you think he's bad now, wait till he's in charge for a little while. And that's going to be a time that that nobody could expect. But it says, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. You know, it's the people that are saved. And again, if this happens during the Great Tribulation and the church is taken out prior, these are the ones that were saved during the Great Tribulation. I personally think that there's a good chance that people could be saved during the Great Tribulation. I really believe that because it's God's last chance to reach the world. I believe there will be people that turn their back on God and hate God for the judgment that He sent it on this world, and they won't be saved. And I believe they get to a point during that 7 years that there will not be anybody saved. But, and I can prove that with the Bible. I can show you why I believe that with the Bible, because after the fifth trumpet, if you read about the fifth trumpet, it says, and they cursed God, and they would not repent of the sin that they had in their life. But it says, for then shall great tribulation, and except those days be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. Jesus will not come back until the end of the Great Tribulation and set foot on this earth, let me put it that way. He's not going to set foot on this earth until the end of the Great Tribulation, until the judgment is done. And so if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. That's what the Bible says. So what does that mean? That means when somebody tells you they talked to Jesus out in the desert, no, they didn't. That means when they tell you they are Christ, no, they're not. You'll know Christ when He gets here. There won't be any doubt. There won't be anybody that left to doubt Him when He finally shows up. But make no mistake, we don't need any man to tell us that Christ has come. We'll know it. Yeah, so if anybody tells you this man's the Christ, or I saw Jesus out in the desert, no, you didn't. And they are lying to you.
Mark, you can do a search on YouTube now.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Do a search for people that are claiming that they're actually Jesus. There's a bunch out there.
Yeah.
And they seriously think they are. It's crazy.
And it's just like Theudius. It's just like the other Judas who thought they were something. They died and their followers were scattered. And that's what the book of Acts talks about. But there's a man called Jesus that died. His followers saw him after he rose again. They watched him ascend. And there was nothing that was going to stop that message from getting out. And here we are 2,000 years later still talking about him, learning about him, and worshiping him. But yeah, I mean, they're here. And these days are here. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. But here's the thing, the elect, if we're truly trusting God, if we truly understand His Word, we're not going to be deceived. If you get deceived, it's because you've left worshiping the true God. I mean, that's what it says. If it were possible, they would deceive the elect. It's not possible. God won't let that happen. If you're truly one of His, you'll know. You know, there's scams going on Facebook. I always love it when they, I'll have people come up to me. Did you hear what happened over in so-and-so? I'm like, that wasn't on News 8 on Facebook, was it? They said, yeah, that's where I read it. I said, that's a fake news website. You got to be careful. If it doesn't come on CNN or like WCYB, and I'm be honest, I don't believe half the things CNN says anymore. I get an independent source to back that up. But you know, but if it's not from a reputable news site, watch out, because there's a lot of fake ones out there. But you know, people will believe those things, and that just is gospel to them. The Conservative Tribune, great stories, most of them not true. You know, I mean, and that's the thing. Everybody's telling their story from their side of their point of view, and nobody ever seems to want to report the truth anymore. But they show great signs and wonders, and that's what it says they're going to do. They're going to show great signs and wonders. We've seen magicians. There's a Christian magician that comes around. I don't know where. Barbie's friends with him on Facebook. Joseph something. Have y'all heard of him? He's fantastic. If y'all have a chance, get him in here. He loves to come to churches and do shows, especially Bible school. That'd be well, I'll send you his name because he is definitely he does tricks, but then he does so to illustrate a biblical truth, and so he keeps it's very. His name's Joseph something. I'm trying to remember it, but he does a fantastic job. And but you know, I've seen these magicians, and you're like, how in the world did they pull that off? They do signs and wonders. Well, it's magic. Well, let me tell you something. There's going to be a deceiver. I think the quote from that movie I watched, Now You See Me, says, magic is deception, but it's deception in order to entertain or to delight. It's not meant to hurt. Well, this is deception meant to kill. Not just your body, but your soul. And they're going to show many signs and wonders. And the devil has power, make no mistake, but he doesn't have the power that Christ has. The reason we let the devil win a lot of times is just simply because that we don't have Christ with us. He can overtake us, but he can't overtake Jesus. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. Again, he's warning. I'm not there, okay? I'm not coming that way again. For as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth unto the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. It's going to be sudden. And it's going to also be a big show. You know, have you ever just seen a storm and you watch the lightning just dance across the sky? That's what it's going to be like. That's what he says. It's going to be fast. It's going to be sudden. It's going to be something that's unmistakable. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. This is I don't even know what that means, to be quite honest with you. But I guess wherever, if you look at the people that are being deceived, and you look at the people that are dead, you know, the eagles, I guess, are the ones that come in and pick and eat until you're nothing but bones. The devil will be just like that. He'll come and pick at you until there's nothing left. Because you're a carcass. You're dead. as far as your soul is, there's not going to be anything left. You know, that's probably a good place to stop. But you know, these days that we're living in are bad, okay? But they're nothing compared to what's coming. But we need to be telling people what is coming. That's why I'm going through this, is to tell people what is it, what's going to happen, what's going to come. And when they say, oh, look how bad it is today, they're going to end up, they think this is as bad as it's going to get. But in your lifetime, have you seen it get better or worse? It seems to be getting worse and worse. Our children are dealing with things I couldn't have even imagined when I was in school. Their children, if it continues on, will be dealing with things they can't even imagine today. And it's just that way. And it's going faster and faster and faster. Our CIO likes to talk about the rate of change and talks about IT and everything like that. But, you know, think about the things that have happened over the last 10 years versus in the last 15 years ago, I don't think people realize this. There was no such thing as Facebook. I think it was 2004 when it started. That was the first time Facebook was released, and they only had a few users at the time. 2004. That's not long ago, folks. Howie was born already, and there wasn't a Facebook for us to share pictures of him. Imagine that. That's just what, 13 years? What's the next 13 years going to bring? Maybe we'll finally get those flying cars we were supposed to have in 2015. But change is happening faster and faster and faster. The thing is, the sin is growing and growing and growing at the same rate. And so we need to be watchful. It's not going to be long. Anybody have anything else? Alrighty then. Anybody planning on getting in the water, make sure you bring a change of clothes or a towel to sit on the way home, I guess. Either way, doesn't bother me either way. I'm bringing a change of clothes. But anything else? Everybody stay dry over the next 2 days. I know it's going to be a little damp, but not near what other people are dealing with. See, we like to gripe and complain about the little stuff we have, and then we see somebody that's going through so much worse. And I don't think people understand just what others are going through. So, anybody else have anything at all? Alrighty, let's all stand. David, would you dismiss us?
Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the word, the lesson, the earth, thank you for the ones that for us, thank you for each one here. Thank you, Lord, for this day and the lesson of life. Ask you, Lord, to lead us, guide us, direct us, preserve us, protect us, forgive us of our sins, take us into our home safely, and with us throughout this week. We pray that in Texas, where the flood is, and Lord, you will be done to you, pray that you will and do it throughout this week. If those being baptized, son, and they will be done. If all the prayer the request being made, let's give the sick, save the lost. For that's all in the name. Amen.